So it's great to be here at the Metro Bistro, right on Main Street, just coming in from outside and coming to this wonderful place. It's so calming, and it's a great place for a wonderful country French meal. And we're here this evening with Jay Livernois. Hey Jay, it's great to see you. We're speaking with Jay because he's one of the survivors of the COVID era. We're in this pandemic and we've heard so much about restaurants closing and the hardships that have been happening. But this little restaurant, the Metro Bistro, as I said, right here on Main Street in Southbridge, has weathered the storm. We had a few weeks where we had to shut down. We've had restrictions by the governor with the percentages. How can you fit people in a small place and do it safely? Somehow Jay and RuPaul have been able to do that here in Southbridge, and we are just lucky to have him and Marie and the restaurant to be open. How did you do it? How did you manage to stay open and survive? Actually thrive. You guys are doing better than ever. And tell us more, Jay, please.
Well, we survived. We did things a little bit differently, meaning we were very cautious, primarily because my wife and I are not young, and as a result, people that we have as client, they understood that we were also at risk, but we never closed. We did things privately, although we closed to the general public when required initially, and then to flatten the curve, you remember that, 2 weeks, which turned into 6 weeks. We opened for takeout, and then we opened for dining outside. We were able to, in fact, do that, and it's actually worked out well. We always wanted to do it, but this kind of forced us to do it. So in some respects, whenever there's a crisis or things happen, there's always good things that occur. We've got a great support from the community and from people. From all the way from around the Boston area. They've been driving out here basically from Springfield, Boston, Hartford, and that's why we're still here. They also trusted us enough so that we did private meals. We can say that in the whole year, we've had 0 cases coming from here or anything like that. Part of the thing is we were always very careful with colds, viruses, flus. We always did that. I calculated one service during this period, also previously, to count how many times I actually washed my hands. In a 4-hour period, it was 43 times. That was just routine, so nothing had changed because of COVID. And we maintained those things in cleanliness. My wife is French, as you know, and Mary Paul, and an absolute stickler for that. And that's why, believe it or not, in France, the amount of food problems is 1/3 what it is in the United States, partly because every single restaurant there, usually, unless they're certain chains, they basically handle each item and do not serve it if it's not right. So anyway, we've been very successful for 8 years, and as my wife said this evening, she said one of the reasons our success is we cook, and we cook to order. We don't have a large menu. It's something that when it's gone, and everybody knows that. So if they come in, they say they want something, well, if it isn't fresh and it isn't ready, it's not going to be served. That's it. We also do unique functions because we're not open that much right now because a lot of people still aren't comfortable with going out. So we're just open Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. When that changes, we will be open more. We still do private meals though. So that's not really open to the public, it's just private, and it's just groups of people that they feel safe with us and we feel safe with them. And as a result, we do that, and that's worked out. That's really what kept us, besides my actually going to some people's houses, particularly in Metro West, and cooking private dinners for them, and that's worked out.
So you offer a lot of different options, and people just give you a call and
Sure.
talk about what they're looking for and see if it's something that
because again, we have much more time. We do that, we do it at a reasonable price, and some things that's unusual. One of the places I went, is the person had the best wine cellar I've ever seen in my life, which was great, hidden away. There's a lot of things. A lot of people have that, and that's fine. One of the ethics of food, let's say, good food, Epicurean ethic, let's call it, is to live hidden. So when there's a lot of madness going on, this is a place that people can go and basically be protected, and as we like to say, what happens in the bistro stays in the bistro. Not that anything exciting happens other than in your palate, but it's that kind of place.
Well, it's always been a very calming experience for me.
Well, that's great to know.
Where you just like you said, sit, relax, enjoy a wonderful meal and great company and enthusiasm from the actual.
The other thing
chef.
too, the other thing too that we do is the people that work here. Often they've been people that were customers, and we know them. The woman who is our regular dishwasher, also does some of the baking, who's excellent. She's known me since kindergarten and went to school with me for 13 years, and I'm friends with both her and her husband. And that's a different type of thing. There's no stress, there's no yelling. One of the best people we had was a veteran from the Afghanistan wars, or war, let's call it that. And he'd done two tours. He came on a Valentine's night because I was desperate. I needed somebody, although he had never waited. And he came in. I explained to people who he was. It was his first night. Just help him with this. They were great. Everybody loved him. That was Tommy.
Yeah.
And his attitude was, listen, nobody's dying. Relax. There's nothing. Take your time. There's no problem. And just that type of attitude is what we try to pass on.
This COVID period has kind of taught us, and perhaps some good lessons. Obviously, clearly cleanliness, hand washing. We have all heard that flu season is almost extinct this year, while COVID has been running rampant. The common cold.
Well, there's a problem. I mean, if you want to follow the science, there's a problem with that because a lot of the things that were so-called COVID, people forget that this is a virus. The COVID virus is similar to the flu virus.
Exactly.
So you could have a multiple thing, and people that did die from it had also the flu. So they're not quite sure on that. Unfortunately, I think the government has taken what they call in sociology a structural approach, which means rules and regulations, as opposed to a cultural approach, which is personal people's behavior. And they try to influence that by these uniform rules that don't work that way. No mention, for example, of certain vectors of infection, which we know certainly are much greater than so-called the distancing, which would be, who you're having sex with. Or how about
It's a G program, remember that.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But as I say, gee, it's amazing. All we needed was a virus to make the drug problem in this culture and country disappear. In fact, we know it's in fact gotten worse, but nobody says it. No one says, I've never heard one politician of any side say, you know what, really, if any time you really want to stop doing drugs, maybe now's the time to do it. It's not cool. But unfortunately, the culture of cool supports that, and it's even more, which is ironic. But no one's ever said, maybe that's a thing that can do it more than the distancing, or even masks. I mean, if you read the science on those things. Before I did the restaurant, before I cooked in France, I did have a year working with the NIH, National Institute of Health, evaluating research. And I understand how to read these things and look at that. And that's part of the problem too. They're poorly written, deliberately, I think, and as a result, people just don't understand it, even the politicians. They're well intentioned. I'm not saying they did it necessarily only to push a certain agenda. But the good news here is that to a large degree, Massachusetts has been sane. Locally, they've been trying to do things responsibly, and so have we. I mean, as they say, I've had 4 heart attacks. Certainly do not want to.
COVID.
Yes, I am in the crosshairs, and we took every precaution exactly for that. But at the same time, we viewed ourselves as essential workers. I mean, the tragedy, I think, is where they somehow thought that restaurants weren't essential as much as possible.
Is there anything you wanted to ask if you had a message or question to one of your local representatives? When you think of the government, whether it's our local reps or the governor or anybody, is there anything with this situation that you would, what message, do you have a message to them?
I do. I just wish that they themselves would have gone out more. In other words, it would have been a good thing if they were more present in the small restaurants and businesses, and if they came around and did that. That, I think, would have sent a good message. Mm. And you've heard me say this, I also wish that also for members of the town council, the town manager, people of that nature to show up, or economic development. I mean, that's really important, whether they're going to any of the restaurants. I mean, Fins and Tails, which again is another place that we like and support, and it's just that if they show up there, it sends a message to the community and the people.
So Jay, this has been really a great experience speaking with you tonight, and being able to hear your your version, you know, what happened with you and the COVID and your restaurant, and Metro is here, and we're so excited in Southbridge that it's staying. And
Well, we're excited that we were able to survive. One of the interesting things is that although we did not receive any federal or as of yet local grant, which I'm hopeful that we will. We have applied for that, but
Great.
we got into the because we're not large enough.
Right.
We didn't have the connections, and we also didn't have debt. That's one of the things that really helped us. We run things very small in that sense.
Yes.
And when we set this up, we wanted to do this as a prototype, but we were able to survive primarily through the support of people like yourself and others in the area, and that's really what got us through. Initially, when things were really bad, we even had people who knew we didn't have, all of a sudden overnight, we had no income. They actually brought us food, which is
That's
kind
amazing.
of ironic.
Right,
You know,
right.
The restaurant people need food.
Well, you need to get fed once in a while.
You know, I mean, they brought us food and wine, and again, people were really great, and that they got us through. So that's why we're here. Again, another aspect is a restaurant isn't just so much a restaurant, and you're certainly not going to get rich doing it unless you're very, very lucky. But what it does is it provides a focus of culture for whatever the community is.
Right.
And I think many communities know that and recognize that now.